You are listening to the Legends Lingo podcast, brought to you by CouchGuySports.com. With your host, Al.
Buddy, you were targeted 6 times, you caught 2 receptions, and did nothing else.
Powder.
Yes, sir.
And Fiesta.
He hasn't done jack. They've won one cup and they made a lot of playoff appearances. But he is a snake, oily snake. He's a crook.
Enjoy the show.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Legends Lingo podcast, episode 96, the Charlie Conway episode. I am your host, Al Nahigian. We got Fiesta that's clapping. I don't think that's ever happened, but he's clapping because I actually came up with something good. Fee, you seem to like that.
Big Mighty Ducks fan, so that actually, I like that, so I appreciate that.
Of course. Oh, dude, I am a big Mighty Ducks guy. You ask me trivia questions from any of the 3 movies, I will probably get it.
I have Disney Plus. I'm probably gonna watch it after this. Thanks.
Hey, listen, Mighty Ducks, Periscope or whatever, one day at Couch Guy Sports, we'll see what happens. We also have Powder, our other guy. He's rearing up. He's just ready to go tonight. Powder, what's up, man?
Nothing, just feel good. Work tomorrow, then off for a nice 4-day weekend, and just excited. I texted them a couple weeks ago, still waiting on, but there could be some big personal news coming soon.
Big personal news for Powder in his personal life. He works hard. We work hard. You know who else works hard, guys? Couch Guy Sports. Yep. Check out everything. CouchGuySports.com, CouchGuySportsShop.com. We have sweatpants. We have T-shirts. We have sweatshirts. We have it all. Go on there. Buy yourself something, especially with the holiday season. It's the time of giving. Give your partner, give whoever, a nice, pair of sweatpants or whatever from CouchGuySports.com. So seriously, CouchGuySports.com, shop.com. Check out all the podcasts, all the written content. You know them all by now. Check out the Twitch channel, Couch Guy Sports Twitch. We're trying to do some big things on there. These guys write on the website once, twice a week, sometimes 3 times a week. So check them out. And besides that, we have our sponsor. We have our friends at Manscaped. Guys, let me tell you something. Support for the Legends Lingo podcast comes from Manscaped, like I just said. Who's the best in men's below-the-belt grooming? As Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools, say it with me, for your family jewels. It's jingle balls to the walls, fellas, so listen up. Untrimmed pubes, they're a thing of the past. It's time to gear up and get yourself the gift of shaving this holiday season, and I'm talking about that Manscaped Perfect Package 3.0. That's why this revolutionary company, Manscaped, has redesigned the electric trimmer. Their Lawnmower 3.0 has proprietary, and by the way, I just did Couch Guy Sports podcast with Nick Qualia. He couldn't even say that word. So I don't know what he's doing, but he needs to figure it out. Love you, Quacks. Has proprietary advanced skin safe technology. So this trimmer doesn't cut, down there because that's going to hurt a lot. It's also waterproof, so you can use it in the shower. The Lawnmower 3.0 comes inside their brand new Perfect Package 3.0, which makes for the perfect gift this holiday season. It's literally everything you need to keep trimmed, cut free, and smelling nice down there because you want to make sure you smell nice down there, especially if you're going on a date. I heard Fiesta's going on a date on Black Friday, so this might be the perfect gift for him. Don't use the same trimmer on your face that you would use on, downstairs because that's just plain nasty. Manscaped Perfect Package 3.0 also includes the crop preserver, an anti-chafing ball deodorant, and moisturizer. You already put deodorant on your armpits. Why are you not putting deodorant on the smelliest part of your body? And yes, they do stink. They all stink if you're listening to this. Speaking of stinky and sweaty balls, I am thankful for the Crop Reviver because this product, along with the Crop Preserver, keeps your balls from sweating, smelling, and sticking. Stay away from the 3 S's because if you have any of one of those 3, you're in trouble. And these products smell good. Their manly scent is attractive and will help set the mood, if you know what I mean. The Perfect Package will also come with a pair of Manscaped boxers that will keep your junk feeling fresh all day. It's time to upgrade those overused pair of boxers to Manscaped's high-performance anti-chafing boxers. I have a pair. They're great. Use them. Seriously. Get them. Get everything with Manscaped. 'Tis the season to Manscaped, so get yourself, your dad, your brother, your friend's dog. The best gift of all, the Manscaped Perfect Package 3.0. So listen up. Here's how you get a little deal for the holidays. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code LLP at manscaped.com. Your downstairs will thank you. Again, get 20% off and free shipping with the code LLP at manscaped.com. One final time, 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com using the promo code LLP. Clean them up and make Santa proud this year. As always, we thank Manscaped for their continuous partnership. Go buy their products because they're great. Finally, we're going to get into some sports talk. Roll call time. Some unfortunate news in the NFL as Joe Burrow, number 1 overall pick for the Cincinnati Bengals, quarterback out of LSU, was tearing it up for the Bengals this season. His season's done after he suffered a major knee injury this past Sunday against the Washington football team, and his return to 21 is therefore uncertain. The Bruins are making a little bit of headlines as the Bruins and Jake DeBrusk have agreed to a 2-year extension worth about $7.35 million. The Boston Celtics will be without Enes Kanter next year, as Enes Kanter was a part of a 3-team trade that sent Kanter to the Trailblazers. The trade also involved the Memphis Grizzlies. And finally, another Celtic that will not be around any longer is Brad Wanamaker, as Wanamaker signed a 1-year, $2.25 million deal with the Golden State Warriors. That's it for the roll call. But we're going to keep it basketball related because a lot went down, and I mean a lot. So let's start with this. Let's start with the big piece that's out. So Gordon Hayward, a lot of people were saying they didn't know what was going to happen with him. He was going into the final year of his deal with the Celtics. He could have opted out. He could have opted in, could have opted out. There were a whole bunch of possibilities that could have happened with Gordon Hayward. What happened with Gordon Hayward is that Hayward actually signed with the Charlotte Hornets on a 4-year, $120 million deal. There was a lot of buzzing going around that maybe the Celtics were going to engage in a trade with the Indiana Pacers because Hayward's from Indiana. He played at Butler. You know, he has ties to Indiana. And the thing of it is that Hayward going, I mean, let's call it like it is. He was probably going to be the 3rd or 4th option. More often than not, the 4th option on this Celtics team. He wanted a bigger role. He even, he could have easily gone home, but he didn't. He went to Charlotte because they gave him the most money. By the way, $30 million for a 31-year-old Hayward after being injured 2 out of 3 seasons. LOL, Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
LOL. Just saying. And the thing that's going to be aggravating is there's still some rumors out there that there still could be a sign and trade in place with the Hornets. Maybe you get something back for Hayward. But there was the rumor, too, that with the Pacers, the Celtics could have had Miles Turner and Doug McDermott. Not too bad. And we're going to talk about the other free agent signings in a second. But with Hayward, it's not that I'm glad he's gone. It's the amount of money that he ended up getting from the Hornets. You can have him. Keep him. Keep him out of here. Thanks, Gordon Hayward. You're probably going to be one of the biggest what ifs in Boston sports history if you don't get injured, but it is what it is. So I'm done with that. I want to kick it to Powder first, then we'll kick it to Fee. Powder, Gordon Hayward, gone in Charlotte. Go ahead.
Just like you said, he went for the most money. I don't blame him for going for the most money. But definitely losing him could be, obviously I think that we'll talk about in a minute, but I think Celtics got some players and signings and stuff that could help them. But I just think losing Hayward, he was a good player when he was healthy. But you know what? Let's see if he can stay healthy in Charlotte. Who knows? Maybe he'll that contract won't pan out. It'll be a good thing we let him walk. It's just one of those things, like you said, how he got injured for a lot of the time he was in Boston, which, yes, obviously that leg injury, that was horrific. That's just an awful injury. But the Celtics, it could be a good thing to let him walk away because he's very injury prone.
Fee?
I kind of disagree with you guys. And I'll say this, I mean, in the sense that, yes, we all said last week he was gone. I'm fine with that. But the prospects of getting nothing, because you don't get that money. You don't get that cap space if you get anything. And if
unless the trade exception, right?
Yeah, the trade exception.
Right.
A trade exception or even a player. It's disappointing because from the reports from Ian Bagley and Gary Washburn and even people in Indiana said that it was Miles Turner, Doug McDermott. Ainge was asking for T.J. Warren, and Aaron Holiday or
Oladipo. Victor.
No,
Oladipo.
it was Aaron Holiday. That was they asked for T.J. Warren and Aaron Holiday, and another ask was Turner, and Oladipo. So yeah, there was the Celtics. That's the rumor, and he overplayed his hand. I think that is disappointing. He does have a chance because Hayward's only agreed to this deal. There has been an announcement as of 7/12 on the East Coast here in Boston that there's a sign and trade. So we saw it last weekend. I mean, over the weekend, people ripping Danny Ainge. He deserves to be a little ripped until that moment. Again, this is just a whole yuck situation. I mean, good luck, Charlotte, giving him $30 million. But again, I think the Celtics really, Ainge overplayed his hand a little bit, and I think he deserves to be criticized for that. Because if you could have gotten a big man in Miles Turner who was fit the timeline of Tatum and Brown, and gotten another shooter, that's a win, and you wouldn't have had to spend money. You would have just taken in money and guys under contract. That's how I see it. It's like now you're on the Tatum Brown timeline and path, and this was an opportunity to kind of give you some flexibility, maximize that, and it kind of feels like you're on the timeline, but you're not maximizing it. Again, if they do get a sign or trade, which I've heard some rumblings or some speculation that, I mean, Charlotte is looking to offload some money. Terry Rozier, Cody Zeller. I'm not saying Rozier's coming back here. I'm saying somewhere else, and the Celtics get a wing because you do need a wing now. And your third wing is Semi Ojeleye. So
yeah.
So I'm just saying, like, I'm gonna be critical because Ainge deserves to be criticized for this, but it feels like, especially now as we're on day 3 of Hayward only agreeing to this deal and not signing something, the likelihood of a sign and trade or a 3-team trade is starting to increase by day and by hour, but we'll see. I mean, probably we'll be bitching next week.
I can't wait.
Absolutely nothing.
I can't wait for that. You mentioned shooters. That actually ties in nicely to our next point really quick. The Celtics had two picks in the first round in the NBA draft. They technically had 3, but they traded away their 30th pick to like Memphis or something. I forget, but they traded away that pick. It was okay. So they had the 14th and 26th pick overall. At 14, they decided to go with, and Fee, correct me on this last name pronunciation. Is it Aaron Nesmith or Naismith?
Naismith.
Naismith. Okay. So Aaron Naismith out of Vanderbilt. And then at 26, they took Peyton Pritchard out of Oregon. Right away, a lot of Celtics fans were probably thinking, what is Danny Ainge doing? Like, initial reaction. But then when they start to read into how Pritchard was and how Naismith was a lights out shooter in college. He shot over 50% from 3-point land at Vanderbilt. Peyton Pritchard, he has that sort of just Boston mentality, the work hard, the grinding till, to get everything he has. Fans are going to love that. So to me, with these 2 draft picks, the Celtics were filling a need, which was, an outside shooter off the bench and just bench depth, because that's what they needed. And that was very obvious when you watch the Celtics this year. So after the fact, I got to say, I kind of like the draft picks, especially Naismith at 14. A lot of people were saying online too, a lot of the analysts were saying that the Celtics got arguably one of the best shooters in the draft. So that's a win for the Celtics if that happens, considering Naismith
Not one of
14.
the best shooters, the best shooter in the draft.
The best shooter. Yeah, a lot of people were saying he's the best shooter. So if you get that, then that's a pretty good piece to get, especially the year after you were 1 pick away from getting Tyler Herro, which whatever. That it is what it is with that. But these 2 draft picks to me feel like, now that we've had time to let the dust settle, feels like a win, because they are addressing needs, and then they addressed more needs with the free agent signings we're going to talk about in a bit. Fee, I'm going to kick it to you real quick. Peyton Pritchard, Aaron Naismith, drafted to the Celtics. Introductory press conference today, by the way. Overall thoughts?
I like Naismith. He was the best shooter in college before he got hurt, and he said today that his foot's fine. That's what the Celtics need. They need a guy that can catch and shoot, especially off screens. That's what they need. That's what they've needed for a couple of years now. They have that. I think Richard Picard he's going to be a good player. I wouldn't have too much high expectations. I think it's a good pick. I do think it was a little bit of a reach. They could have gotten him in the second round, but he's going to be a good point guard. He's going to be at one point your backup point guard, and he's going to be very valuable. because I think you do like the grit, the intangibility, the dog. It's like he can do that. That's fine. But I think Naismith is actually going to contribute immediately with the Celtics, which is good. I would have liked to trade, but I'm fine with the Naismith move. But again, he's going to be in the rotation. He's a catch and shoot. He already is accepting what role he's going to be in, which is fine. And he's saying, I need to be a sharpshooter. I need to be a sniper for this team, which I like. So like I said online, I give it a B. So it's a B move. I would have preferred to trade to get more veterans in here, but I'll take it because you did address the need. You did address the need. So.
Right. Powder?
Yeah, like both you said, again, Naismith, a shooter. We saw in the series against Miami, they kind of just, the way the Miami played defense, Celtics kind of were forced a lot of threes and didn't truly have a guy who would just sit there and drain threes. So having a guy who hopefully can become that guy in Naismith that in those big situations can, if the defense clamps down and we need a three, hopefully he can be the guy, the shooter that hits that three. And then having another grinder that just pushes everybody with Pritchard. I love those guys, and I think he'll be good in Celtics uniform.
Yeah, the Pritchard and the Naismith draft picks, I think Fee sort of hit the nail on the head. It's a B. It's not an A, but you did pretty well with what you had. You did well. So, gonna move on. We have two more bits of Celtics news before we jump into the woeful Patriots, which I'm not looking forward to talking about at all. But we'll still talk Celtics for a little bit more. The Celtics made two interesting signings. When I mean interesting, I mean just that. They were interesting, but I think they're going to be good in the long run. One player that was signed was Tristan Thompson. If you remember Tristan Thompson, yes, he is the same one that dates Khloe Kardashian. So the Kardashians are coming to Boston, so that's going to be fun. But he also spent, doing the math really quick, he spent 9 seasons in Cleveland. He was a part of that championship team that beat the 73-9 Golden State Warriors. 2 years, 19 mil. The thing that stands out, obviously, his rebounding. The last 2 years, he has averaged over just about 10 rebounds a game. And what's the thing that we've consistently said about the Celtics team, guys? They need rebounding. That's why Enes Kanter was brought in last year. That's why now that Kanter's gone, you bring in Tristan Thompson this year on a short-term deal. It's a decent move, especially for what was left on the free agent market. It was a decent move. You also signed as a backup point guard, Jeff Teague, like we said toward the beginning of the show. Brad Wanamaker, gone in Golden State. Jeff Teague, people forget, he was an all-star in 2014, 2015 with the Hawks. This past year, combined between the Timberwolves and the Hawks again, he averaged right around 10 points a game. I mean, he's not going to light it up, but he's that veteran presence that you need as a backup point guard, and maybe he can mentor a kid like Peyton Pritchard. You know, so I think they're two low-risk, high-reward signings because these are guys that are proven veterans, but you didn't have to overpay for them, which is a very, very good sign, especially with the NBA nowadays, with these contracts that they're throwing out. It's like throwing out, I don't know, what's a good comparison? It's like throwing out, like, I don't even know, but it's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous, the money that gets thrown around the NBA. It's like getting thrown around like water.
Yeah.
So, in summary, 2 good moves, 2 good signings. They addressed needs, a rebounding need and a backup veteran point guard need. Fee, I'm going to you first. Tristan Thompson, Jeff Teague, they're Celtics officially. Thoughts?
I like the Tristan Thompson move. Again, I would have preferred Miles Turner. It just fits the timeline better. But Tristan Thompson, for what you're going to get, he's a rim protector, can slow down Embiid, and bam. That's the thing that I think is important. You've kind of addressed that. Your front court is better. I mean, it's better, and he can also do screens very well. So Tatum and Brown are going to benefit from that. It's an upgrade. I mean, if you're looking for an upgrade, both signings are an upgrade from what you had last year. Again, is it enough? I mean that's going to be the thing. You're putting a lot on Tatum and Brown, which is fine, is expected, but you still have some other needs you improved in areas, but you still have some weaknesses. You still need more shooting. You need to find another wing, but these top signings are good. I like them. They're good, but they need to do more because they're kind of the same team. which I don't know if that's
Yeah,
good.
I don't know about that, but we can talk about that. We definitely can talk about that. Powder, thoughts, signings.
Definitely adding Tristan Thompson, like you said, helps with the rebounding. Also having a guy who's been there and won a championship. I've always been big on adding some veterans. Doesn't matter what sport, especially if they've won a championship before, they've been through it, and he helped the Cavs win that. He was big part of that. And then Jeff Teague, like you said, just a veteran that can help mentor some of the younger guys and maybe provide some scoring off the bench or some good minutes off the bench to give some guys some rest, and he won't be that bad of a downgrade coming off the bench. So 2 good signings, like you guys said.
So here's my thing, and then we'll get into sort of the final big tidbit of Celtics news that we need to talk about. I can understand, Fee, why you would think that they're sort of the same team. I do get it. I guess the way that I look at it personally is you lost Dennis Cantor. You picked up Tristan Thompson. Who would you rather have between the two, Thompson or Cantor?
I said that you upgraded. I'm
Right.
not saying those signings. I'm just saying you're kind of the same team. Because you improved in those areas, but I mean, Milwaukee added Drew Holiday. Granted, they didn't add Bogdanovic, but they added Drew Holiday. You have the Nets bringing back Katie and Kyrie. The 76ers added Danny Green and Seth Curry, shooters. And the Heat just are kind of bringing the same team back together. And that's what I'm saying. It's like you're in the same spot. You're going to be a top 3 team, but is that good enough?
Right. Okay. So I misunderstood you. Okay. Fair enough. So I think, and especially, and this is a big if you get that trade exception with Charlotte and you get that $20 million trade exception, you might be able to bring in another piece or two and maybe even a big piece that we never even thought of. So we'll see. We'll see.
I do have something to add to that. I don't think you just want the trade exception because then you would have to trade something from your core. So I think you would want a player, which I think that's why this is taking so long, and a little bit of that trade exception. You don't, because it's something nice to have, but you want something physical in return. So that's just my opinion on that.
Right. So final thing we'll talk about with the Celtics, then we'll move on to the Patriots. Jason Tatum secured the bag, fellas. He got paid as he should. 5-year extension, $195 million. So you do the quick math on that. That's $39 million a year. So technically he's still in the Celtics for about 6 more years. Pretty good, especially when you're getting Tatum in the prime of his career. I think I pretty much speak for the 3 of us when we say we're happy about this. We wanted this to happen. We expected it to happen, and it did happen. Very glad to have Jason Tatum. He's a rising superstar in the NBA. We know he's going to be a top. I'm hoping by the end of his, contract extension with Boston, he's in the top 10 NBA players, like top 10 in the league. But overall, it's great to have Jason Tatum, and he's going to be one of the key faces of Boston sports for the next at least 5 years. So that's all I got to say on it. Powder, your thoughts, then Fiesta, then we'll move on to the Pats.
I like some of Fiesta's tweets. I'll let him talk about it, him going to depth, but I like seeing Jason Tatum kind of take that role as the top athlete in Boston right now. And he's definitely, I think he deserves this. I think he's going to be top 10 NBA player soon. And it's just huge to see him want to stay in Boston and want to try and win a championship in Boston. So I think this is just a perfect contract for him. And hopefully by the end of it, he has at least one championship with the Celtics.
Go ahead, V.
I mean, it's good. He secured the bag. Celtics get paid the face of their franchise. He's the number 1 option. Again, Danny deserves some credit for that. I mean, I know a lot of people. I mean, we can rip him, but give credit where it's due. You paid your superstar. Now you have to go maximize that again. And I think that now you have a window. You have a 6-year window to win a championship. Or if you want to include the option in that, but 5 to 6 years, really. So I think that this is a step. This is the number 1 priority for the Celtics this offseason. I mean, now you have Tatum and Brown locked up long term, which is good. Now you got to see where you go from this. And I think that, again, you mentioned it earlier, whatever you get from Charlotte's going to be very key to what direction this team wants to go. Because I mentioned earlier, if you can maximize this window of the contract, you will win a championship, I think. I think you'll win and you'll compete for a championship. If you don't, you'll be good and fun and relevant, which is fine, but you always will come up short. And I think that that's what we're going to see in the coming days and months. That this contract is going to put a lot of pressure on people in a good way, because it's better than what it has been the last couple of years. So
I'm excited for the Celtics season to start. I think it's at this point, we're recording on November 24th. It's less than a month away before the season starts, which, I mean, I'm just excited to have basketball back. As a selfish Celtics fan, I'm happy to have them back in my life. So that's just me. I know it's a quick turnaround, but I mean, the Celtics team's fun to watch. What can I say? So we're going to move on, though. We have to go to the Patriots. Ugh. They lost to the Texans. So the Patriots lost on Sunday to the Texans 27-20. That brings the Patriots record down to 4-6. The Texans improved to 3-7.
Yeah, 3-7.
And I have some questions. You know, number one, your first drive, you go right down the field and you score. And a lot of it was running the football. And we talked about it last week. Texans rushing defense, worst in the league. So you were utilizing the game plan. The next drive, a 3-and-out, 3 passes. So I'm wondering, what's the deal? And then not only that, the Patriots defense gave up 27 points. And it was all Deshaun Watson, because into that game, I wasn't expecting the Texans rushing attack to be as bad as it was until I found out David Johnson was injured, because I didn't know that, because I haven't been paying close attention to the Texans this year. But you knew once the game started and you saw that Duke Johnson wasn't going to do anything spectacular for the Texans rushing attack, you knew Watson was going to be throwing a majority of the time, and you still let him put up 27 points on you. Watson had to play a nearly perfect game, and he did it. 3 touchdowns, 2 passing, 1 rushing. The defense had its very few moments, but for the most part, not that great. And now you fall back to 4-6. So if you win that game, you would have been 5-5. You're right in the playoff hunt. But now, in my opinion, you have to win out just to have a very realistic shot of getting in the wild card. You can go 5-1 and then be 9-7, but you need a lot of tiebreakers to help you. So it doesn't look good. And you have the Cardinals, the Chargers, the Dolphins, and the Rams that you still have to play before you get Buffalo and the Jets at the end of the year. And I said this on Couch Guy Sports Podcast, so I'm going to say the same thing on here. I'm not going to be excited unless the Patriots they win their next 4, then they're 8-6 going into the Buffalo game. And then if you somehow won that, you'd be 9-6 going into the Jets game. That's the only way I'm going to be excited about this team anymore in 2020. I got a little bit of hope when they beat the Jets and then they pulled off the upset against the Ravens. But now it's like, it went back down. It's like, okay, it's looking like they're really not going to make the playoffs now. But that's just me. We're going to kick it to Powder. Then we're going to kick it to Fiesta. And then we'll talk a little bit more about the playoff path and the Cardinals. But go ahead, Powder.
So I haven't watched every Patriots game, but this is the first game that I've truly watched and just felt like this is a completely different team. Like, I felt like at the end of the game, the Patriots were going to, like the old Patriots would go down, score, or even at halftime, they had a chance to score twice, do the thing they love, score at the end of the first half, score at the beginning of the second half. Just could not do that. This was the first game I really looked at like, oh my God, this is a different Patriots team. And even at halftime, I didn't see too many adjustments like you normally see out of a great Patriots team, where they after halftime they come in and they come back and they just steamroll the second half. It just was disappointing to watch this game and see the Patriots had no pass rush. Deshaun Watson had all day just sit back there and pick apart the defense and throw and just make throws when he needed. It was just one of those games that just was awful to watch. And I just pretty much the whole game I hated watching.
I think that this is a weird game. I'm going to be honest with that. It was a weird game. And, I mean, you had a great first drive. I mean, here's a stat I want to throw out at you guys. Cam Newton was, I think, 8 of 8 or 8 of 10 throwing the ball deep, like 20 yards or more on Sunday. And here's the thing. The Patriots didn't run the ball. They had success and they didn't, but they were throwing it deep very successfully. And actually, here's a fact. Cam Newton's one of the best deep passers since week 7. I found that out on the stat I was looking for. Again, this is a weird game. You blew an opportunity because the teams ahead of you lost.
I know.
The Ravens lost. The Raiders lost. The Dolphins lost. If you won that game, were you talking about a 5-5 team heading into a stretch where they had the tiebreaker with all those teams, and you would feel a lot more confident? I mean, I think what the kicker is, I said it in a tweet, and I've said it on this podcast before. You've had 5 games where you've had the ball inside the 30 5 times to either with the game tied, trailing, but a chance to take the lead or tie. You're 1-4. The only team you've beaten the Jets. If you won this game, it's as a team that prides itself on execution, especially in these late game situations, and they fail. That's kind of frustrating. That's the definition of the season. As bad as your roster has been to people and how we've talked crap about this roster and the COVID stuff, it's come down to late game execution. Because say you win that game on Sunday. Say you actually win the Texans and Broncos game. You're 6-4, and we're talking about a team that's in the 7th seed. I mean, it's like you look at it, it's like, and again, I mean, I was looking at some stats. You're a middle of the road offense. You're not a terrible offense. You're actually middle of the road. And especially in the last couple of weeks, it feels like they have finally clicked. Again, Deshaun Watson just ripped you up, and it shows that he's a really good quarterback, and I don't know what the hell the Texans are doing. But again, the path's not dead, and I know we're going to allude to it in a little bit, but you like you said, Al, you have to like basically run the table. And I'm not very confident, but I mean, I think that's going to be more of a theme this season. We're going to see we're going to be talking about the Patriots probably for the rest of the season. Oh, they won a close game. What a comeback. I guarantee you they're going to win the next 2 weeks. We're going to be hyped up because they're going to be back in the middle of the race and then throw a stinker against the Rams or the Dolphins. Literally, that's what's going to happen, and we're going to be frustrated. I already can predict it.
Oh, it's going to be extremely frustrating. So let's just get into it. We'll make this quick. Patriots are playing the Arizona Cardinals at Gillette. I believe it's a 1:00 start, right?
Yes.
They changed it from 4. It was originally 4:25 when the season came out, but they changed it to 1:00. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, 1:00.
I think that. So it's a 1:00 game. I mean, you're facing Kyler Murray. I mean, Kyler Murray is one of the most explosive quarterbacks with his arm and with his legs. I mean, he's the definition of a mobile quarterback, which, as we've seen, the Patriots have struggled against. There's some talent on that Cardinals team. I mean, I don't think it's going to be, I think it's going to be ugly. I think this is going to be one of those games where the Cardinals just dominate from the first possession on. And I'm hoping that this take comes back and bites me. I'm going Cardinals 31, Patriots 13. I just think it's going to be one of those games where Kyler has a great game. DeAndre Hopkins will probably, catch a touchdown reception, maybe even 2. I just feel like it's going to be one of those games where it's just like, okay, it's going to feel like the final dagger into the Patriots 2020 season I think is going to happen on Sunday. I hope I'm wrong. I hope it's just like the Ravens, where we all said they were going to get smoked and then they surprised us. So, but I don't know. I just don't see it happening right now. So, Fee, go ahead.
It's another weird game, like the Ravens game. I think the Patriots have a good shot at winning this because I'll say what the Cardinals have a problem is they don't travel well. They make a lot of mistakes. This is a young football team. Even though they have very talent, I feel like the Patriots are going to be invested in this game. And then they can win. Do I think so? Maybe not. And I'll kind of do the old Ravens game kind of thing. Not pick a winner, but I think it's going to be a lot more high-scoring game. So I think it's going to be like 28-24. I think the Patriots offense is clicking and they can put up actual points. This is a weird game because both teams are very flawed even though the Cardinals are very talented, they're young. And I've watched a few of their games the last couple of weeks, and they're, again, talented, but they make a lot of mistakes. And it wouldn't be surprising if the Cardinals just put a stinker on this. It would feel like, because a lot of people say they're a Cinderella, they might be turning into a pumpkin a little bit.
I like that analogy.
Yeah, so, I mean, and then I see your point out, and either or can happen because this is such a weird season. I mean, I alluded to the stats. It's like you're a middle of the road offense, and you haven't executed late game situations that would have impacted stuff. So they can win on Sunday. It's that weird. It's that weird. And I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised by either. So I'm just going to say that.
Powder?
I think if the Patriots can have a good pass rush, this could be the Patriots could win this game. But you saw how much Deshaun Watson just tore them apart. And Kyler Murray, I think, is going to be a quarterback like a Deshaun Watson or Russell Wilson, something like that, where he's very good with his arm, but also with his legs. So it could be a game where, like Al, you said, the Cardinals come in, just stomp on the Patriots. But if the Patriots play, I think if they play just a little bit better than they did last week, they could easily win this game, because I think the Cardinals, like Fee said, are flawed. But if you give Kyler Murray all day, it's going to pick you apart. And DeAndre Hopkins is the best wide receiver in the NFL. So you give him space, he's going to make big plays. But hopefully Pats can come with a better pass rush and put pressure on Kyler and make him make mistakes. And maybe that could be what leads you to a victory. So.
Okay. So we have some very different predictions for this Sunday. It's going to be an interesting game. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if we're going to get the Patriots that played against the Ravens or the Patriots that have, not done well in late game execution against, the Seahawks and the Bills and the Texans and the Broncos, and the list just goes on and on. It hasn't been fun this year. It's been we've now see what other fan bases go through. Sometimes some of them on a consistent basis, but we'll see what happens. I mean, at this point, it's just one game at a time and hope you can, get some momentum toward the end of the season. So we'll see what happens. Final thoughts before we head off for the night.
Just happy Thanksgiving. Who knows? Hopefully this is out on Wednesday, but could be out on Thursday. Just try and be safe. If you don't have to, don't travel, but be smart with what you do. But yeah, happy Thanksgiving. I'm thankful for you guys, for this podcast, for Couch Guy and everything. And my family, my health, all that stuff. But yeah, happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there.
Feet.
And I'll go off, Powder. Happy Thanksgiving. Stay safe, everybody. And also, Celtics fans, be grateful for what you have. Be thankful, because this could be like the team of the mid to late 90s. I'll just say that. So, and that wasn't a good time. So get off the edge a little bit. Embrace what you have, but be critical at the same time. But don't go.
You can do both.
You can do both. This is a free country the last time I checked.
It's weird because we do it all the time. We love our teams, but we're critical of them when we need to be.
Yep.
But I'm going to hop off of both you guys. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody that's listening to this or watching this on YouTube. We thank you for that. We thank you for our supporters. We thank you for our sponsors at Manscaped. I'm thankful for you guys, even though sometimes I bicker at you guys. I know that I appreciate you guys deep down. And obviously, shout out Couch Guy Sports. They've been great to us from the very beginning. If nothing else for tonight, we got Tom Saban Facette. We got Tom Powder Cadmus. I'm your host, Al Nahigian. Thank you for listening to episode 96. Guys, we have episode 100 coming up in a month.
Exciting.
We got some.
Be right before, right before Christmas.
Right before Christmas. We got some big plans, some big guests that are going to jump on with us. But anyways, thank you for listening to episode 96. 20% off and free shipping at Manscaped, code LLP. We'll see you next week for episode 97. Happy Thanksgiving again.
Yes, sir.